These are 5 professional darts players who carried genuine, documented, world-class talent into the PDC and still watched their careers collapse while the sport moved on without them. Not because they lacked ability, because they refused to change. One of them was a 2-time world champion who admitted his mind just wasn't on the darts anymore. Another was a Belgian pioneer whose own wife called him lazy to a national newspaper. A third competed for over 20 years with a throwing action he openly disliked and never once attempted to fix. The fourth reached a world championship final as a 200-to-1 outsider, then lost 5 stone and reversed his diabetes only after the career was over. And the fifth won 3 world titles across 3 different decades, earned £2,250 for an entire season at age 50, and told the press a 4th title was still possible. 5 careers, 5 cautionary stories, and the same lesson buried in all of them. Understanding what these 5 players were up against requires looking at how the sport changed beneath their feet, because the darts they entered is not the darts that exist today. The PDC World Championship prize fund stood at £64,000 in 1994, and by 2026 that number had reached £5 million, with the winner alone collecting £1 million. Sky Sports signed a reported £125 million deal for exclusive PDC coverage running through 2030, and the 2025 World Championship drew players from 28 different nationalities, with only 26 of the 96 participants being English. The averages climbed every year without exception. Michael van Gerwen hit 123.4 in a Premier League match in 2016, a number that still stands as the all-time televised record, and every player at any given ranking today throws better than a player at that same ranking did 10 years ago. The floor of the sport rose and kept rising, and the system that governs professional darts was built to punish anyone who didn't rise with it. 128 PDC tour cards are issued every 2 years, and players outside the top 64 on the order of merit must requalify through Q School, where over 870 players compete for approximately 29 available cards. Every early exit compounds on the next one. Every missed double accumulates across the rolling 2-year order of merit, and standing still in that environment is not a neutral position. It's a slow walk backward. That's the world these 5 players competed in. The sport got better, they didn't. 2 PDC World Championships before the age of 28, and after the second one, Adrian Lewis stood in front of the cameras and declared he believed he could win 10 world titles in total. He never won another major. The talent was undeniable, and the record backs it up completely. Lewis's highest recorded average was 115.62, and in the 2013 Grand Slam of Darts semi-final against Phil Taylor, he averaged 110.99 across a match where the pair combined for approximately 221 and hit 32 180s between them, 18 from Lewis and 14 from Taylor. Taylor called it the best game ever seen on television. Lewis also hit 5 televised 9-dart finishes across his career, including the first 9-darter ever thrown in a World Championship final, landing it against Gary Anderson in 2011. Phil Taylor mentored him from approximately 2003 to 2007, and multiple sources described him over the years as one of the most naturally talented players the game had ever produced. And then the rankings start to tell a different story. World number 2 in 2011, number 3 in 2013, sliding through the 4s and 5s and 6s as the years went on, sitting at approximately 21st by 2020, around 39th by 2022, and with no tour card at all by the end of 2024 following extended inactivity. His World Championship results after the 2012 title read like a slow erosion. Quarter-finals giving way to 3rd round exits, then 2nd round, then 1st round. In 2020, he led Dimitri van den Bergh 3-1 and lost 4-3. By March of 2023, he played his last PDC match and announced a break from the circuit the following month. In a 2023 interview with The Sun, Lewis put it plainly, "I think I was getting a bit stale. The buzz wasn't there. It was just that I didn't want to be there. My mind wasn't there. My mind wasn't on the darts." A 2025 interview for Modus produced a similar admission that he had become complacent, had personal issues, and lost love for the game. The personal circumstances during this period were genuinely severe, and they deserve acknowledgement. His wife Sarah received a diagnosis of an incurable kidney condition in 2015. One of his daughters requires constant care due to autism-related disability and ADHD. A spinal condition in 2017 left him sleeping 40 minutes a night before surgery. and the positive COVID-19 test in 2020 cost him a ranking event. These are real, serious difficulties that no career summary should flatten into a simple narrative of failure. But somewhere inside all of that, Lewis also said something in 2017 that cuts through everything else. I took the previous years for granted. 2 world titles by 27, and by his own account, he stopped competing the way a former champion competes. Not because circumstance made it impossible, but because, as he admitted, he didn't want to anymore. In August 2025, his competitive return at a Modus Super Series event produced an average of 91. The self-awareness arrived eventually. The career it needed to save had already ended. 15 consecutive years on the PDC Tour, 0 major televised titles, and a career-best World Championship result, a quarter-final, that came on his debut in 2012 and has never been matched since. What makes that plateau so hard to explain is the level Huybrechts demonstrably reached. At the 2016 World Cup of Darts, he posted an average of 121.97 in a single match, which at the time ranked as the second highest televised average in history and a World Cup record. 2 years before that, at the 2014 Grand Slam of Darts, he dismantled Michael van Gerwen, the reigning world champion, 16 legs to 10, hitting a televised 9-dart finish along the way while averaging over 110 and leading 12-3. His record against Van Barneveld at his peak ran to 5 consecutive wins. In the 2021 interview with the Sky Sports Darts show, Huybrechts acknowledged the shape of what had happened. I was in the top 16 for 6 consecutive years if I'm not mistaken, dropped out, and I've still got the feeling that I should be there. 100%. He attributed part of his decline to the deaths of his parents, his father passing in December 2012, and described losing 3 years of his career to grief. That cost is real and human and worth naming honestly. What grief alone doesn't explain is the gap between practice and stage that Huybrechts himself has described repeatedly. After losing 1-3 to debutant Arno Merck at the 2026 World Championship, the 3rd consecutive year of first or second round exits, he told VTM, "I was in good form, but it has to happen on the stage. For some reason, that hasn't worked for me for the last 4 to 5 years. In practice, I throw fantastically, and at Belgian tournaments too, but not here." His temperament produced its own costs along the way. Multiple PDC disciplinary findings followed him through the later years of his career, including a £1,500 fine for an alleged confrontation with fellows Belgian Mike de Decker in November 2023, and a separate incident with Gerwin Price that required referee intervention on stage. None of it helped his ranking, and none of it suggested a player in control of the mental side of performance. The assessment that cut deepest, though, came from his wife Dana Verhagen, speaking to Belgian newspaper Het Nieuwsblad. "Kim has so much talent, but no character. Lazy is an understatement. He's addicted to Football Manager while I do everything around the house. I have to make him practice every day." She also added, and this part matters, "It's inhuman how he stands here sometimes throwing, one 180 after another. I believe he can win against anyone if he is on form." The talent was never in question. The willingness to build the discipline around it was. At the 2004 PDC World Championship final, Kevin Painter led Phil Taylor by 4 sets to 1 and came within a single dart of becoming world champion. Taylor missed double tops, missed double 10, then found double 5 with his last dart to win in sudden death. The first sudden death leg in PDC World Championship history. Taylor's verdict afterwards: "I am a very lucky man, to be honest. Kevin outplayed me on doubles, but he eventually let me in. I thought Kevin was the better player." Painter's reaction to losing that match contains a detail that haunts the rest of his career. Years later, he said, "I wasn't overly disappointed when I lost. It wasn't beating me up. I wasn't having sleepless nights." That absence of consuming obsessive motivation in the immediate aftermath of the closest he ever came to a world title may be the clearest single window into why the career ended the way it did. His peak ranking sat at approximately world number 5 in the wake of that 2004 final, and his one PDC major, the 2011 Players' Championship Finals, came 7 years later and stood alone. Tour card gone by the end of 2018, formal retirement announced in February 2021. In his PDC retirement interview, Painter described the terminal decline starting around 2014. "I started to find it harder to enjoy the events. I only looked forward to going to the TV events. I didn't look forward to going to the floor events, and when you're not enjoying what you're doing, it makes it twice as hard." And then, in a 2023 interview, When asked about his throwing action, he delivered this: "I have no idea. I don't like my throw, to be honest. It's not a comfortable sort of throw. It's not like your Gary Anderson or your Steve Beaton type of throw, which are very smooth. It's a little bit awkward and there's a bit too much going on. It's a bit twisty and turny." Over 20 years of professional competition, Painter threw with an action he openly disliked, clearly described as flawed, and apparently never resolved, walking onto the oki at the end of his career with the same mechanics he had at the start of it. Laser eye surgery, which he had in 2011 at age 44, reportedly produced a 9-dart finish after just 10 minutes of practice, and the question that raises about how his peak years would have gone with better vision is one he can't answer now. What he did answer was the question of blame. "I think I underachieved in some ways, but a lot of that was because I clashed with Phil. Phil was winning everything, and if Phil wasn't about, I'm pretty sure that I'd have won a world title for a start. Phil Taylor was always about. Every other player on tour faced that same reality, and some of them built careers around solving it instead of waiting for it to change." The arc of Andy Hamilton's career begins with an absence. County darts at 18, then roughly 20 years away from competitive darts entirely, then a return via PDC Q School at approximately age 37. His entire professional career unfolded in the second half of his life, which makes the 2012 World Championship the story it is. A 200-1 outsider going into that tournament, Hamilton came from 3 sets to 5 down against Simon Whitlock in the semi-final to win 6-5, then walked onto the Alexandra Palace stage for the World Championship final. He lost to Adrian Lewis 7 sets to 3. That was the peak, world number 7 in the aftermath, and 3 major finals in total. The 2007 Grand Slam losing 18-11 to Taylor, the 2012 World Championship, and the 2013 UK Open losing 11-4 again to Taylor. 0 titles from all 3. The ranking collapse from there was rapid. 11th in 2014, 53rd in 2016. Tour card gone by the end of 2017, and the pattern at decisive moments tells its own story, leading Taylor 9 sets to 5 in the 2012 Players' Championship. Finals quarter-final and losing 10-9, leading Whitlock 12-3 at the 2012 Grand Slam before winning only 4 more legs in the match. 7 years between ranking titles despite reaching 3 major finals in that stretch. But the detail Hamilton only revealed in late 2024 changes the frame on all of it. Darts News published his words directly. "I've got diabetes, which has affected my life a lot. I lost 5 stone and reversed my diabetes, so I'm not injecting anymore." The 5 stone he lost, the diabetes he reversed through lifestyle change. These came after the professional career had already ended. He said himself in 2025, "Now I've lost the weight and feel fitter, I've got more stamina, so the full week shouldn't affect me so much." A full week of floor events, the kind of sustained competition that builds rankings, would have affected him throughout the decline years when the stamina wasn't there. Whether addressing his physical condition earlier would have changed his career is impossible to say with certainty. What is certain is that it wasn't addressed during the career, and at the 2026 Q School, aged 58, Hamilton lost in the first match on day 1 and did not regain a tour card. 3 world titles across 3 decades, the only non-European to win the PDC World Championship, and the only player ever to win it at 3 different venues. Part's career credentials are genuine and extraordinary, and the 2003 World Championship final alone would secure his legacy. That final, against Phil Taylor, ran to 7 sets apiece, and Taylor hadn't lost a World Championship match in 8 years and 44 consecutive matches before Part ended the streak. Part opened the deciding set by breaking Taylor's throw and closed it with his first match dart. His own verdict on it: "Beating Phil in the 2003 final is my greatest moment." By 2017, he earned £2,250 across the entire season. The decline pattern Part established is one of the strangest in the sport. After winning the 1994 BDO World Championship, he never reached the quarterfinals at that event again. After winning the 2003 PDC title, he lost his first match defending it to Mark Dudbridge. After winning in 2008, he lost in the first round defending the title to Bill Davis without taking a set. 2 of his 3 title defenses ended with a first round exit the following year, which is a statistical anomaly that resists simple explanation. The ranking slide from 2008 onward moved steadily downward, outside the top 32 by 2012, 28th by 2014, and in 2016, he failed to qualify for the World Championship for the first time in 22 years. A tour card lost in 2019 followed several years of minimal earnings. Throughout all of it, the logistical reality of competing as a Canadian-based player on a European circuit, jet lag, travel costs, recovery time across consecutive weeks, was never resolved through relocation. Whether that reflected practical constraints or a decision not to uproot his life is something only Part could answer. What he did say publicly, at age 50 in 2017, was this: "A fourth world title is possible. I wouldn't have the first three if I didn't believe that. The belief that produced 3 world championships had outlasted the performances that would have justified it, and the gap between those two things was £2,250 in prize money for the year." At the 2026 Q School, age 59 and turning 60 in June, Part progressed far enough to claim a spot in the final stage before losing in the last 128 to John Brown. No tour card. He continues as a Sky Sports commentator and competes in North America on the championship dart circuit. The persistence is genuine, but persistence and adaptation are different things, and Part's post-2008 career is a long demonstration of the gap between them. Peter Wright joined the PDC in 2008, earned £1,200 in his first full season, and had previously worked as a builder and tyre fitter before his wife Joanne told him that if he believed he could do it, they would do it together. By 2020, Wright was world champion. By 2022, a 2-time world champion with 8 major titles in total. Johnny Clayton won his tour card at Q School in 2015 at age 40, kept his job as a plasterer for Carmarthenshire County Council throughout the early years of his professional career, and won 4 major titles in a single year at age 46 in 2021. The Masters, the Premier League, the World Grand Prix, and the World Series of Darts Finals, before finally leaving the day job in 2022. As of 2026, Clayton sits at world number 5. The gap between these players and the 5 in this video has nothing to do with the talent on the oche. Lewis carried more natural ability than Wright by most informed accounts. Huybrechts averaged 20 points per dart, higher than Clayton in a single televised match. Painter technically outplayed Taylor in a World Championship final, and Taylor admitted it. The difference runs through something Dr. Linda Duffy, a chartered psychologist and former darts world number 1, described as the ability to take your practice game into the competitive arena, which she called a step too far for most players. Not the skill, not the hours in the practice room, the mental architecture that turns practice into performance, and the willingness to rebuild that architecture honestly when it stops working. Wayne Mardle, now a Sky Sports pundit, named the most common specific failure: too many players revert to old bad habits. Painter's awkward throw, the one he disliked and never changed. Hamilton's physical condition, addressed only after the career ended. Huybrechts grinding through Football Manager while his wife pushed him into the practice room. Lewis admitting he stopped wanting to be at the event. Part telling the press a 4th world title was coming in a year he earned £2,250. The old bad habits wore different faces but followed the same pattern in every case. The order of merit moves every week, and the dart circuit has no mechanism for preserving the reputation of what a player used to be. Every floor event that gets skipped, every first round exit that costs ranking points, every week of practice that doesn't happen, all of it compounds, and the players rising through the rankings below don't wait. Adrian Lewis earned over £3.3 million in PDC prize money across his career, and his competitive return in August 2025 produced an average of 91 at a regional Modus event. Kim Huybrechts carries 15 consecutive tour cards and no major titles, losing to debutantes at the World Championship. Kevin Painter competed for over 20 years with a throw he openly described as awkward and twisty and never resolved it. Andy Hamilton reversed his diabetes and lost 5 stone after the career was already over. John Part, 3-time world champion, earned £2,250 in the year he declared a 4th title was still possible. The talent across all 5 of these players was real. None of this is an argument that they were frauds or that the careers they built were anything less than exceptional by any normal sporting standard. What they failed at was not darts. What they failed at was the willingness to be genuinely, uncomfortably honest about what needed to change, and then to actually change it, not in hindsight, not in retirement interviews, but during the years when it still mattered. The players who kept growing treated that question differently, and the sport, which has no patience for nostalgia, rewarded them for it instead.